Let's head into today's episode.
Hello, and welcome back to episode 140 of the Your Next Move podcast. Before I get into today's topic, I just want to give you a heads up, a little trigger warning. I am talking about grief and the loss of my mom. So if this episode will be triggering for you, go ahead and skip this one. If you are new to the podcast, my name is Kimberly Brown, and I want to talk about grief today. I literally pulled this on Instagram yesterday, asking my audience if they thought that it would be helpful, insightful to talk about my own journey with grief. This week marks 1 year that my mom passed away. She passed away on August 1st of 2025. And my heart has been beyond heavy as you can imagine. But since the passing of my mom, one of the most common things that people share with me is that they're like, I don't know how you are continuing to get up every day and do the things. Like, even last August, they're like, oh my gosh, you're back at work already. How are you doing this? I don't understand. I would be on the floor. And I think this episode may or may not be helpful, but I really just want to talk about how I've been managing grief and entrepreneurship. I think the first part of grief and entrepreneurship is that when you are an entrepreneur, time off is really different. I'm at the phase in my business where I've been in business full time since 2021. And I always joke and say I've been playing on the internet probably since 2011, 13. Like it's been a long time, y'all. But now being full time, my business is at that odd phase where my hand is still in everything, but I do have some team, but I still touch everything myself. There are not very many things outside of tech that I offload onto someone else, and I don't double check all of the things. So when I'm offline, I honestly call it fake offline because I'm still monitoring Slack, emails, approving things for my team and ClickUp. And as an entrepreneur, if I'm not working, then that generally means my company is not making money. And that is the kicker. So, one of the jokes I have, whether it is relatable or not, I say that I am okay being sad, but what I won't be is broke and sad. So, that is one of the many reasons why I've continued to push and do things. Now, when it first happened, I definitely took some time. But I already had things in the pipeline that were not movable for my clients. So if you know about my work, I do one-on-one coaching, I do group coaching, but a large part of my work is consulting and larger scale retainers with businesses. So if I'm speaking at an annual conference, it is the annual conference. That date cannot be moved. They've already made a deposit or paid in full. So I kind of have to show up. So luckily I had one client where I was able to push back the meeting by 2 weeks. And then another client where something was happening at the end of the month already. So I had a little time to prepare myself. But I essentially just want to share the 7 things that I've been doing. And just also note that my heart goes out to you if you are grieving and you're like, girl, I don't know how you're showing up. I cannot. Or if you're even thinking about what it would be like. I think that I'm a geriatric millennial, as I like to say. So I just turned 39 a few weeks ago. And we are in the sandwich generation where many of us have young kids, but we also have older parents. My dad is 80. And my godmother, and I'm the executor on her will, she's in her late 70s. So thinking about grief and preparing for grief is something that is on a lot of our minds. So maybe these 7 steps will help you, maybe they won't. But all I can do is share my experience. So number 1 is a reduced schedule. So I have looked at my calendar and I have finagled with it all year long and reducing the time. I'm generally someone who takes a lot of meetings, a lot of get to know you meetings, networking meetings, in addition to my client meetings, coaching calls, all of those things. One of the things I've done is significantly reduce my schedule so that I'm not on calls every single day. I only take calls on my calendar on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And more recently, this summer, I've reduced to Tuesdays and Thursdays. It helps to know that I have days where I don't have to put on a smiling face and talk to folks. And it took a second for me to really understand that I just need more space. Some days I'm working on my business and doing all the other things that it takes to run a company behind the scenes. Other days, I am on my couch, unshowered, watching SVU from season 1. Yes, I never watched SVU before, but I recently started it. A lot of people ask me, "Oh my gosh, Kimberly, how do you have so much time to watch TV?" But watching TV is one of the few things that allows me to turn my brain off. So that is what I do. When I am done working, I will sit in front of the TV and just engross myself, most likely in a procedural drama. Now, SVU, I can't watch in the evenings. I switched to another show at that time, but that is what I will do. But my reduced schedule really has me in front of people 2 days, three max, and the other 2 days are for admin or allowing myself to just be and feel however I feel in that moment. Number two, therapy, y'all. I have a phenomenal therapist. So you may have heard me talk about therapy in the past, but I had been working with another therapist for 4+ years. And I think that my work with her is the exact reason why I am remarried in the healthiest relationship of my entire Black life. But she was a little bit younger, so I think it was great with relationship things. But as I transitioned to exploring motherhood, talking more about aging parents, and all of those things, I wanted a therapist who was a bit more seasoned. So I actually switched therapists, I think last year sometime, and that is one of the best things I could have done. I think this therapist is incredible. Love her down. And I meet with her weekly or bi-weekly. And she also texts me. So if she knows it's a hard time, she will shoot me a text and be like, are you all right? If I'm going home for the weekend, she's going to say, do you need anything? And I really appreciate having that sounding board where I'm able to be unfiltered and I don't have to put on a face for the world. It also helps me process my own feelings about grief, about other things I'm doing, conversations I've had to have with my dad now, or things that I've had to do that I did not think I should be doing or would be doing at this phase of my life. So therapy has been really, really helpful. Now, number three, I honestly wasn't sure if I should share this. However, someone shared it with me, so I am going to share it with you. Antidepressants. Last August, it had just happened. I was not okay, and I was really nervous about how I was going to be able to function at work. And I had a few moments where before I would go into a client to teach a workshop, I would just be sobbing in my car. There were a few moments in August and September where I hope none of my clients actually saw me. But my clients obviously knew because I was able to shift some dates back or I had to move some calls in preparations for those early engagements. So I would have anxiety about my feelings when I walked into the office because everyone is going to offer condolences. Some folks had gifts. A lot of folks also share their own stories of grief. So it wasn't like I was just able to walk in, get on stage, teach, consult, whatever I was doing, and act like nothing had happened and kind of compartmentalize. I knew I had to have a conversation, have pleasantries, also hear someone else's story that may or may not be helpful at that time. And I started to have a lot of anxiety. And y'all, I would sob in my car. And then I'd have even more anxiety about walking in, and now I'm tear stained. Okay. And I look like I've been crying, and I would try and clean it up to the best of my ability. But I talked to my doctor, and I was like, I just feel like I am treading water and I am tired. I am tired. Is there anything that I can do? And she recommended an antidepressant. And I am on the lowest dose, but it has helped me function. And I am slowly transitioning off of the dose. I wanted it to help me just be able to get up and work every single day. But someone had told me, and I thank them with all of my heart and all my soul, that there is no shame in getting some help. You do not have to raw dog your grief because that's essentially what you're doing every single day. And it is tough. Like, we've got to work. Even if you are a 9 to 5 listening to this, what does bereavement leave at your company? 2 days? 5 days? So you mean to tell me I have 2 days offline, maybe 5 days? First of all, funeral services don't happen in 2 days. And a lot of times they don't even happen in five. So I still have to be at work. I need to ration which days I need to be at work. And people will give you some pleasantries for a moment, give you a little space for a moment. But unless you take leave, you've got to jump back into it. And y'all, that is so hard. That is so hard. And people are gracious for whatever time they feel like they should be gracious for. And after that, it is business as usual. So I went to my doctor and I asked for some help, and the antidepressants have been really, really helpful in helping me regulate my mood and helping me just be able to get out of bed and get my work done. Okay, number four. Now, some of you may disagree with this. That is okay. Again, these are the things that have helped me. I apologize and I let people know where I am and I allow folks to show up for me. And I started with apologize because I know I have not been the most responsive to my friends. I know that. Used to be someone who believed in like inbox zero, zero text. Like I want everything, no notifications. Like I don't want to see that little number of how many texts are unread, how many emails are unopened, all of those things. I hate that. I like to be at clear, zero, nothing. That is not me anymore. Also, sometimes I get anxiety about how am I going to feel if I am out with someone. I know that I'm generally good one on one or in small groups, like three, four folks. But once we start getting to larger engagements, conferences, it just zaps my energy. And I feel like I have to step into being Kimberly Brown. And sometimes I just ain't got it. So I tell my friends where I'm at. I tell them where I'm at. I was talking to one of my best friends this week and she was like, "What do you need?" Because I told her, like, this week, like, girl, I'm treading water. I don't feel good. I hate the world, but I got to do a little work. I have more space. And she's like, "Well, let's go on a coffee walk." And I kind of balance things with myself. Like, if I have not left the house in a few days because I've just been sad, I'll be like, okay, I need to get up and go out. But I'm going to go for 20 minutes. I'm going to meet you at the coffee shop. And then I'm going to leave and go home and you're going to go do whatever you want to do. Other days, I'm like, okay, let's go take a good walk and then grab coffee, or let's go hang out, or grab dinner, or grab lunch. But I really just try and allow folks to show up for me in the way that feels good for them, whether that's sending something, coming over for a walk, sitting on the couch, giving me a call, sending me a text. But I apologize when I don't show up. So I make time to reply versus before I was just that friend that always responded right away. I try to be really quick about it. Now I apologize, I move forward, and I try to challenge myself to do just a little something because sitting in my house being sad is not healthy for me. For me personally, I'm like I just can't sit in the sadness all the time. So I try and challenge myself to do other things. Number 5, I allow myself time to rot, okay? I think rotting time is important. The same way I talked about my reduced schedule, prior to this, Sundays were my day. Like my girlfriends know you ain't getting me out the house on a Sunday, okay? I am one with my couch, rotting. Some days I just allow myself to be unshowered, on the couch, no bra, with snacks. That is all I have the capacity for, and that is all I'm going to give. And I schedule time like that, even during this, my fake offline period right now, because I intentionally scheduled this time during the anniversary of my mom's passing because I knew I wasn't going to have the energy. I know what days I'm going to allow myself to rot and what days I need to hop online and do something. So give yourself that time to be sad and to rock. 'Cause I don't think that kind of pushing past and over scheduling yourself so that you don't feel sad is healthy. I do think you do need some time to rot. So number 6, I appreciate the energy from my community and strangers. I appreciate it. And when I say energy, I wrote a post on Substack about mom energy. And one of the things I've realized about myself since my mom passing, and even since my mom was sick, she had Alzheimer's and dementia. So it's been a few years journey of this, is that I have leaned into allowing other mothers in my life, other women in my life to show up for me. Since my mom passed, one of my best friends, her mom has texted me every single day, every single day, has not missed a day except for when she went on a trip to China for a little bit and all the things had happened there. But she still checked in when she could. But every day, I appreciate that. The story I told on Substack was about sitting next to an elderly woman and just, oh my gosh, just talking to her, just sitting and talking to her. And when she gave me a hug, y'all, it almost broke me all the way down, all the way down, 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 down. One of my other good girlfriends in California, her mother-in-law was just made to be a mama. Oh my goodness. Like when I'm over there, I'm like, I want to go see Mama Rose. I gotta go see Mama Rose. And the last time when I left the house, I just started crying because it was just the energy, just I miss the energy of my own mom. So instead of just kind of wallowing and not having, I have learned to appreciate the energy that is around me. My godmother, my therapist encouraged me to tell my godmother when I'm struggling. She's dealt with loss. She's lost her parents. She's 79 now. So she's dealt with grief. She's lost a husband. So when I'm feeling grief, I lean into the people in my life who I can get some of that mom energy from. Obviously, it is not my mom. It is not. But what I can do is appreciate the energy of others, especially if someone has a grief story or they've had a parental loss. I also appreciate that energy and talking to those folks. I call my sister, and sometimes I find myself on rabbit holes on social media that are like dark grief comedy threads. And I think to some people that may feel gruesome, to others, like I find it comforting that these are some of the thoughts that I have too. Oh my gosh. Like I love Kev on stage and how he talks about grief and losing his brother. And I think that sometimes I find I need that comic relief. I need to laugh. And sometimes you can't necessarily tell those jokes to folks who haven't lost because they'll be like, girl, do you need to schedule a session with your therapist? So I find some comfort in just looking at community. I normally don't engage, but even reading it online on threads, it makes me feel good. Okay. So last but not least is number 7. Number 7 is understanding that every single emotion and response is normal. Every single one. Grief, especially like deep grief from someone who someone who you have lost, who has been a monumental part of your life, it leaves a hole that honestly can never be filled. It can never be filled. And every emotion you feel is absolutely positively normal. And I've had to learn that through therapy and just experiencing my own grief. Sometimes you'll be sad. Sometimes you'll be angry. Sometimes you'll be disappointed. Sometimes you'll be depressed. Sometimes you'll be anxious. Sometimes you don't know how you feel, but you just feel like you can't move. Sometimes you feel on top of the world and then you feel guilty for feeling on top of the world. Because does that mean that you don't love that person anymore? You have all these ranges of emotion. So one of the things that I've started to do is journal. And I really try to challenge myself to get to the root of my feeling versus the surface level sentiment. So at those times where I'm not quite sure, but something just feels off, I really try to make myself sit with it. Sit with it and figure out what is the thing and what do I need to feel better. Like for me, Kimberly, have you left the house? I will ask myself that. Kimberly, when is the last time you went outside and let the sun hit your face? Okay, I'm a homebody, especially now. And I will challenge myself. Like, what do I need? I probably need some sunlight. I need coffee from my favorite shop. I need some girl time. I'm scheduling a girls' night at the end of the summer with some folks who I know, like, and trust, some folks who I love, some folks who I want to see, folks who've asked me to hang out this summer, and I haven't because I just didn't feel like picking up the phone. I was really sad around my birthday. I'm sad now. And I was like, okay, I'm going to challenge myself to do something. But every emotion you feel is absolutely normal. Everything you want to do is most likely normal too. Check that with a therapist if you feel like it's not. But it's allowing yourself to feel the full range. And I actually have a bonus one that I didn't write down, number 8. I know I talked about reduced schedule, but also think about how you can make things easier for yourself. As you're listening to this podcast, you'll note that it is audio. It is an audio podcast. I did not do video. Why? I did not feel like having to come on camera. Could I have come on camera in my sweatpants, my glasses? Yes, but I'm not going to be happy when I see that footage and I'm going to be upset and I'm going to feel worse. So what did I do? I showed up with my audio. And this is how I'm showing up to move forward. And I think that sometimes you have to make things easy for yourself when you know you have to do things and challenge the things that your brain is saying. So I caught myself earlier this week. I was like, Kimberly, do you even need to podcast anymore? Like, does it even bring leads to your business? Is anyone even listening? Do you even like podcasting? And I had to stop myself, again, journaling, right? And get to the root of the issue. Is the issue that I really and truly don't believe that this podcast is valuable? Or is the issue that I'm tired and I don't feel like it? And I feel like it's taking an absorbent amount of energy for me to show up at the highest level. Now, there are some times when I have to put my big girl panties on and I've got to show up and I've got to be the Kimberly Brown experience that everybody knows, likes, and trusts, right? And there's other times like this podcast, it's okay to just be audio. It is A-okay. And that's how I've chosen to show up. So let me recap my 10 things about how I've been managing grief. So number 1, a reduced schedule. Number 2, weekly, bi-weekly therapy. 3, antidepressants. Don't be ashamed if you feel like you need a little help. Number 4, apologize and letting people know where I'm at and allowing folks to show up. Number 5, allowing time to rot, because brain fog and grief is definitely a thing. Sometimes your brain is just not working at the way you thought it was because you are grieving, and it is tough to manage all of that. Number 6, I appreciate the energy from my community and strangers. I allow that energy to feed me and make me feel good. Number 7, understand that every emotion, every response is normal, and journaling if you like to get to the root of the problem in your feelings. And number 8, which I just said, is realize, what does reduced work look like? What does reduced capacity look like? Don't always trust your feelings when you are grieving. Your feeling may not be the fact. So like, I know that this podcast is good and it helps lots of people and people listen. I don't need to stop podcasting. That is my grief brain saying to sit down, you are tired. But how can I show up and make it easier for myself? And that means just doing audio. And that is what I did for you today. So with that, thank you very much for listening to this podcast. I appreciate you. My heart goes out to you if you are grieving. I am giving you a big virtual hug. And as always, until next time, may your next move be your very best move.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Your Next Move podcast. Until next time.